Hi, my name is Giancarlo, and this is my How to Make a Diorama Display video. I'll be demonstrating this by taking an idea from concept to completion. In a run through the process, I'll be going over various phases of design. My display gives reference to Amiibo, specifically Donkey Kong. It's intended to be displayed alongside an older video game collection. This is the Gamenook, a Bombastic campaign. To start this build, I'll be creating a rectangle. A primitive shape will be sufficient. From there, I'll add a vertical panel and volume as a means of providing support for the design to follow. Only simple geometries are needed at the moment. Bumping out the face of the display will provide room to place the Amiibo. I'm going with a jungle motif and will incorporate vegetation throughout. Furthermore, I want the viewing planes prominent, so I'll place them in the midground and foreground. Going back to the vertical volume, it'll be used to map out a home for our adventurer. A thatched roof will provide cover, and an opening in the lower half will be the entry. Leaves are sketched for the tree canopy, and I begin denoting all necessary information that'll be used in the next phase. Heights here correlate with older standards of game cases. The length does as well. It's set to 5 1/4 inches. The width has no actual constraint, but I keep it to 6 inches. That way it has a presence on the shelf, but it doesn't take up too much space. Let's start this phase by scaling down a copy of the reference sketch. A series of concentric circles will be created and used to set an origin point for the Gamenook. From its center, the rectangular base will be drawn. It's shifted over and downwards so that the rings aren't fully covering its layout. The Amiibo location is blocked out in relation to the front bump out. The angle creates space, which provides the necessary room at the front. Everything required has been placed, so I can begin trimming the excess. Areas for the placement of the vegetation are set, and then I proceed to create surfaces. First off is the HUD of the canopy. It's followed up with the body, the platform, vegetation, and finally, the base of the display. Heights correspond with the information on my sketch. The back panel is extruded, which leads me to close the hut. It's time to elaborate on the design with some details. This display will be laser cut, so I need to consider the material thickness on this step. A portal in the midground makes the entry more prominent. Since it's placed on this plane, I've decided to move the vegetation to the foreground. Let's take a quick look all around. I'm satisfied with the model, so I'll rebuild it once more, but from panels. We're all set. I'm going to demonstrate my pipeline for taking vector line work onto a PDF and then SVG file. Here I have two boundaries that are dimensioned to the cuttable space of my laser cutter. These inner rectangles are my safe zone. The offset is 1/2 inch. That being established, I'll bring in some line work. This is the entire project for a Bombastic campaign. I used a program called Rhinoceros, or more commonly known as Rhino. The settings I use are set to export selected objects. I click and drag the first sheet, and then deselect the safe zone and its sheet boundary. I input the command print to start the process. The prompt provides me a space to review what's going to be exported. It's blank for now, touch on this very soon. Over to the right, I have my paper size. This one is set to the laser cutter's cuttable space. The next setting down is view. The option window needs to be selected, and then I click set. This takes me back to my model space in order to place a boundary that matches my paper size. Hit enter, and if asked whether I want to scale my paper size, select no. You'll notice that the blank preview from before has populated. Continue navigating down the settings on the right side of the prompt. For printer output, make sure vector is selected. Under color, have a display color. Lastly, I make sure scale is set at 1:1. Now I go to the drop-down on the left side of the screen and save as PDF. The file is named Bombastic Campaign 01. Now, deselect sheet 1 and move on to the second set. Exclude the edges from the sheet and safe zone. Input the command print. Go to View. Click Set. Choose the area of the second sheet. No scaling. Verify what's on the preview, then go to the PDF prompt on the bottom left to save out the second sheet PDF. And that's all I need out of this CAD/drafting software. So now we've moved on to the program called Inkscape. It's my software of choice for converting PDFs with vector line work to an SVG file. I mainly like it because it's free, but it does also do an okay job at what I need it to do. I've gone ahead and set my workspace to be the dimensions of my cuttable area for the laser cutter. With that said, I'm going to import my line work. Here's my PDF, a Bombastic Campaign 01. This prompt gives me a preview of the line work. My settings are to have internal import selected, as well as the other two checkboxes below. Hitting OK will close the window. I'm going to shift my PDF over to somewhat fit the bounds of the workspace. The safe zone benefits me here. I would always recommend creating templates and presets for purposes like this. Navigate to the node selector and activate it. Select the edge of the sheet. Then delete the 4 nodes that make up the boundary. After doing this, select the line work and see that the new bounding box now wraps the line work closely. When I'm ready to export, I go to File, then Save As, provide a name, and make sure the drop-down is set as Plain SVG file. Hit Save. With that done, I'm going to select everything and delete, then repeat the process for the second sheet. Select Import, find the number 2 sheet. Settings will have been kept from the previous import since it's the same file, so hit OK. Shift my PDF over into the workspace. Enable Node Selector. Delete the 4 sheet nodes. Verify the new bounding box. Now go to File, Save As, then click the previous file and rename the extension to 02. Both files are now ready. A Bombastic campaign is blustering to be placed on a shelf. Donkey Kong games are my go-to for an adventure-filled time. The music is energetic, the designs are endearing, and the gameplay is dynamic. For this Gamenook, I wanted to display the start to one of his campaigns, where he leaps away from comfort and ventures off to make his world right. With that said, thanks for sticking through to the end. This is actually the last of my tutorial videos. Between this and my other 3, I've covered the entire process for producing one of these Gamenooks. Please continue to follow my social media outlets if you wish to try a hand at building one of these. I'll be releasing 6 new designs shortly. A Bombastic campaign is one design from a series of 10 in total. Be sure to follow on other social media outlets to be aware of what they are. Approximate release dates will be posted. Links below.